What's going on, homesteaders? This is Ready Set Homestead, where the only fluff is the feathers. So this weekend we're going to be processing our meat birds. So we're going to be building some cone stands in order to be able to process the birds more efficiently. So we're going to get right into it. All right, so first things first, all these stringers, these are from pallet boards. So these are called stringers. It's the piece that the forklift actually picks up. Typically, they're going to be, around 36 to 40 inches long, sometimes 48 inches. So I really don't care in this aspect, but we're making a T. So I drill the piece that's going to be going vertical, plumb, and I drill the board in on each side. This is going to give it a little bit more stability. That way it's not going to fall over as much. I'm going to do this twice. I have to have one on each side to hold the crossbar that's actually going to be holding the kill cone itself. So I'm just doing two screws there. We're doing the next piece, 2 screws there. I think these are 2-inch screws. You got to make sure that you have something that's going to go all the way through the wood. So they're either 2 or 2.5 inches, but I just got them at the local wood place. Now, because I use reclaimed wood, they don't stand on their own. So they do lean. You can see I have a little bit of difficulty there. The crossbars in my hand, I'm going to pre-drill my screws into this to make it easier while I'm screwing in vertically. Of course, I decided to make it the most difficult way possible. Instead of just setting it on the ground, drilling them in, I'm holding it up vertical. I'm not quite sure why I did that. I was just kind of in a rush, not trying to spend too much time. Just make sure that when you pre-drill those screws in, that you do it close enough to the edge that you're going to be able to bite into the wood that you're screwing it into. Otherwise, you're going to have to unscrew it, re-screw it. It's not that big of a deal, especially when you're not trying to make it look pretty. I very rarely make things that I'm using for farming to look pretty. But you can see I got the first one up there. I am going to put a second bar, so one on each side, just give it a little bit more stability. I did think a little bit ahead, doing it horizontally. I'm actually using the crossbar itself in order to drill those screws in. Once I have those screws, I'm going to go ahead and mount it on the top. So we have 1 bar on each side. As far as the legs go, we have 1 bar on each side as well. This is going to give it a little bit more stability than if we just did 1 on each side. So you can see just drilling in there. Nothing crazy. It's pretty simple. Now, for the next step here, I'm kind of wandering aimlessly around trying to find some screws. We have the actual kill cones themselves. Now, kill cones, you can call them kill cones. That's what everybody calls them. The official name is a restrictive cone or a restricting cone, but this is what you're going to be putting the chicken in order to pull it down and make that ventral cut, to allow it to bleed out. It's just 2 screws. I go ahead and drill the screws in first because it does have one of those eyelets where you can put the screw in and then drop it down. Once I have it in, I put the kill cone on. Once I put the kill cone down, I go ahead and screw it in to make it tight. But before I do that, big thing. Need a few more boards. All right, so I got a couple more stringers. I actually had to switch out one because it was a double stringer. It was actually nailed into another stringer, and I didn't want to deal with taking it apart. So I found another one. But right now, you can see I'm just pre-drilling those screws. Like I said, we're going to be screwing it in where it's on the wall just to make it easier so that I can hold, so that I can drill, so I don't have to hold the screw itself into the back siding so that those kill cones aren't going to be flimsy. See how they just kind of move around? So I'm just screwing it in, one right there, and I'm going to be doing it on the other side as well. This is just going to prevent those kill cones from flopping around when there's a bird inside of it, and risk it coming off. Just, again, it's a little bit more stability. I'm going to do one on the back side. If you're just doing the 2 on the front like I'm doing, you don't need to worry about it. I am going to be putting larger cones on the back for turkeys, so I want to make sure that I'm making it as stable as possible. So getting both those in, make it nice and sturdy. One last thing I'm going to do, it's unnecessary. This is a little 4x4 block that I got from one of the pallets. I'm going to put it in between. It fits perfectly. Using the 2x4s, I can just slide that in. And so what I'm going to do on this, I'm pre-drilling those screws. It's just going to give it that extra stability. So those 2x4s on top aren't going to be able to move around. I will decide later on if I'm going to do it on the bottom. Probably not. But bringing it out, and let's take a look and see exactly what we're looking at. I did this entire thing in 20 minutes. You can see here, this is where the birds go in. We have a little stabilizer on top right here. We have dual stand. It doesn't have to be super fancy. This just holds this. And then if I want, I can actually hang buckets underneath here. Now I'm leaving the other side open because this side is gonna have bigger cones for when we do our turkeys. But right now, we're just doing the chickens. This is more than enough. I don't need a ton of cones. I don't always have help to do stuff. So I like to make sure that it's something that I can carry, something I can move, something I can transport, you know, just getting everything done. So that's how you make a processing stand for your kill cones. Official name is restricting cones, but that's how it's gonna be. Chicken's going there, process is done. Also with my size, I can just kind of squat down right here. It's not super, super low. You can do it higher if you want. This is 4 feet, so you can do 5 foot, have the cones there so you can stand. But yeah, that's it. How to make a kill cone stand. Enjoy homesteading.